Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs to society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, and joining me today as my co-host is Sharon Engel. And Sharon, after 22 months, $25 million, 2,800 subpoenas issued, Special Counsel Robert Mueller found no wrongdoing by President Donald Trump and or his campaign. The investigation concluded that there was no collusion, no crime related to the alleged coordination with Russia by President Trump or any of his associates, and insufficient evidence of obstruction of justice. Sharon Engel, this is what we get. This is what we get over this mess. And Sharon, we have a very special guest joining us this afternoon, a gentleman who was wronged by this entire investigation. Please make that introduction.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure and an honor to introduce our good friend, J.D. Gordon, who is a former Pentagon spokesman who served under Secretary Donald Rumsfeld and Secretary Robert Gates. He has also served on 3 Republican presidential campaigns as a full-time senior national security and foreign policy advisor during 2012 and the 2016 election cycles for Herman Cain, former Governor Mike Huckabee, and Donald Trump, respectively. During the 2010 congressional election cycle, he arranged speaking events for former Governor Sarah Palin. Gordon has served as a senior fellow and advisor to numerous think tanks and foundations based in Washington, D.C., a past contributor to Fox News, The Washington Times, The Daily Caller, and The Hill, and a career Navy public affairs officer and retired commander. He has been the on-scene spokesman for numerous internationally newsworthy events over a 20-year active duty career, but his most notable accomplishment JD is an alumni and co-host here on Conservative Commandos radio show. And welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show, JD Gordon.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thanks, Rick. Always nice to be back.
Well, it's always great to have you. And of course, this is a bittersweet moment for all of us, I think, mostly for you, J.D. Gordon. You have been completely exonerated and vindicated. Bob Mueller has found no wrongdoing, which means that you went through chaos and your life was turned upside down for nothing. Talk to us about that. Tell us first, how much you went through just because of Robert Mueller, and now how you're feeling about that.
Well, thanks, Sharon, and thanks, Rick, for the opportunity to discuss it today. It's very important that the American people know what happened. This is a stealth coup that did not succeed to remove the president and destroy as many people around him as possible. Now, yesterday, when the news came out that the Attorney General had sent a letter to Congress that said that the special counsel, Robert Mueller, didn't find any evidence of collusion, any coordination with the Trump campaign in Russia, and that they didn't have any evidence of obstruction of justice. Conventional wisdom would think that I would be happy. I received a number of congratulatory notes and texts from people, but you know what? I was so angry, Sharon, I could barely speak. And the reason I was so angry is because from my perspective as the Trump campaign's director of national security, after I had multiple interviews with a combination of 6 different prosecutors, FBI agents, and an analyst since the summer of 2017, I can tell you it was a reign of terror. They viewed the entire Trump campaign as a crime scene, and they treat us like a mafia syndicate. Every single email, campaign or personal, phone call, text message, meeting, memo, they were all woven together to see who could be indicted, including looking at financial records of people that had nothing to do with any allegation of collusion whatsoever. 500 witnesses, 500 search warrants, 50 pen register warrants to monitor phone calls, 2,800 subpoenas, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Rick. So this was not the same level of an inquisition as we would see in the Iron Curtain countries in Eastern Europe during the Soviet Union days. Because if it was, there would be over 50 Trump associates who would have been indicted by 6. But it was still really bad. Now, 5 of 6 interrogators were courteous and professional to me from the special counsel. 1 was hostile. But, it was terrifying to have all of them come after all of us, because considering what they did collectively to General Flynn, George Papadopoulos, and Roger Stone, they created crimes to punish them. It was terrifying, and I hope that we never repeat this in American history. We need to hold the people accountable who started these investigations, who started these witch hunts, and some people need to go to prison for it.
Well, the worst part of it all, though, JD, is that your life has been ruined. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, my life has been ruined the last few years. I've had 5-figure legal bills. I've had 7 interrogations between the congressional committees and the special counsel. I've testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee, who, by the way, leaked things about me to the media. The House Judiciary Committee has sent me a letter to get documents from my time on the Trump campaign. They sent a letter to 81 people and entities requesting documents, and I imagine they'll have hearings soon as well. I already testified before the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee as well. And so 5-figure legal bills were spent from me out of my pocket. Fortunately, my campaign colleague, Michael Caputo, reimbursed me for those costs last year because he was able to raise about $350,000 on a GoFundMe page because he was going to lose his house. So he went on Tucker Carlson's show and Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh and raised some money, so he was able to pay my legal bills as well. Well, I have a new set of legal bills now, too, because of the special counsel earlier this year and then the House Judiciary request. So my legal bills have started again.
Unreal. JD, this just continues to go on and on, it seems like, and you are listed now as former. Are you able to work at all? Are you able to really get your life back together, or have they so blackballed you in the community that you really have no choices?
Well, I was under consideration for a senior administration post, including an ambassadorship. That didn't happen. My name got removed from that list because of Trump Russia, because no one's going to nominate you for anything if they think you're going to be indicted. And that's the way that CNN and MSNBC and the Washington Post and the New York Times made it sound. They put my picture in graphic after graphic and story after story. So they tried to make me and my colleagues all radioactive. So we couldn't get a post in the administration, number one. And then for clients, I work with clients. Well, I lost a lot of my clients because clients don't want to deal with somebody who might get indicted, and clients don't want to deal with somebody who's going to have the special counsel or congressional committees then start going through their companies and their records, and because it's a witch hunt that ensnares one person, then the next, then the next, then the next. So you never know where it ends. So why would people want to hire you if they think, A, you're going to be indicted, or B, they're going to get ensnared in your investigation? So you become like untouchable. So you can't work, you can't get clients, and you get a lot of legal bills. That's what they've done.
So, is there any vindication? Will you be able to sue any of these folks and get restitution for what's happened to you? Will you get your good name back? I guess, will you be able to continue on from here, or are you slapped with this for the rest of your life? How does this work?
Well, it remains to be seen. I hope it's not for the rest of my life. As far as lawsuits go, certainly I'm looking into that. I'm very encouraged with what Lynn Wood did down in Atlanta to represent the Covington Catholic students. Lynn Wood and I worked together actually during the Herman Cain campaign back in 2012. He was our crisis attorney when we were getting hammered with all of these sexual assault allegations. He was our star. He helped us out, even though we had insurmountable odds and Mr. Cain eventually got out of the race. I'm encouraged that Lynn Wood has brought lawsuits against both the Washington Post and CNN for $250 million each for the Covington Catholic kids. Now, having said that, I would like to do something similar for Trump associates. Now, that said, I don't know if it's going to be possible because the lawyers for CNN and Washington Post would say, well, we're all public figures, we all joined the campaign, so we all can expect this. But no, there has to be a dividing line between what's right and what's wrong. Whether it's actionable, whether they can be sued for $250 million by people like me and Carter Page or Michael Caputo, that remains to be seen. I don't know, but I am looking into it.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is J.D. Gordon. J.D. is a former Pentagon spokesman and served under Secretaries Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary Robert Gates. He's also been an advisor on many different political campaigns, including that on Donald Trump. And Sharon, we're not going to take a break during this segment. You know, I think this is really important. We need to talk to time. We need this time to talk with our friend J.D. Gordon. J.D., let's start in the very beginning. How were you implicated in this investigation? Where was the connection between you, the Trump campaign, and what the other side called Russian collusion?
Well, there were really three, Rick, and it's a great question. First of all, I was the Director of National Security. So we had an event
for the Trump campaign.
Right, for the Trump campaign. We had an event out in Cleveland, Ohio, during the RNC National Convention called Global Partners in Diplomacy. Mm-hmm. So that was the first thread. Global Partners in Diplomacy was a 4-day program with the Republicans at their convention and a 4-day program with the Democrats at their convention. There were over 50 ambassadors who came to the event, and they were sponsored by the U.S. State Department, who bought their plane tickets and bought their hotel rooms. So at that Global Partners in Diplomacy event, I was a guest speaker. So was my boss, Senator Jeff Sessions. We were both guest speakers. So after our speeches, after our remarks, we waded out into the crowd of ambassadors and shook hands with just about all of them, if not all of them. Well, one of the people I shook hands with was the Russian ambassador, Sergei Kislyak. And then he was in a group of people. It wasn't a private meeting. It was a handshake in a crowd of people and a crowd of other foreign ambassadors. Later on that same evening, which was July 20th, 2016, there was a networking reception, is what it was called. Well, at the buffet line, I saw Ambassador Kislyak. We grabbed some chicken satays in a crowd of people, and I said, "Hi, Ambassador, good to see you again." We ate the chicken satays in a group of people standing around at a table, a group of other ambassadors, and Carter Page. And so according to the media, those were two secret meetings I had with the Russian ambassador. Those were the secret meetings. Yeah, so that's the first thread.
And so the extent of this conversation was, hello, ambassador. And by the way, you said that these ambassadors were brought there by the Department of State, 50 ambassadors. I would take it that one of these ambassadors was the Russian ambassador. Who help me out here. This was 2016. Whose State Department was this in the first place that invited this Russian ambassador?
President Obama, of course.
Oh, well, I wonder if he was also questioned by the Mueller investigation, why he would invite the Russian ambassador. You think that?
Somehow I doubt it. And so, and not that I'm blaming President Obama for it. This is just ridiculous, what happened.
Well, that's what I was getting at. I was getting at
right.
This ridiculous angle.
You said there was a
third. You said there was a third connection.
Yeah, the second one was the GOP platform. The platform is about a 65-page document that lays out every 4 years what the Republicans stand for and what their goals are. Well, I was in charge of the national security part for the campaign. So during the revision of the draft out in Cleveland, the week before the RNC convention, is called Platform Week. During Platform Week, there was a woman, an 82-year-old delegate from Texas named Diana Denman, who tried to introduce an amendment calling to arm Ukraine to provide lethal defensive weapons. Mm-hmm. Now, I realized that was completely opposite to what President Trump wanted to do, what Mr. Trump at the time wanted to do. He had said that he didn't want World War III of Ukraine. So I was his representative at this meeting, so I didn't let that fly, and I brought it to the attention of the co-chair, and the delegates voted that amendment down. But what happened is there was a dishonest Washington Post piece that came out about it. Surprise, surprise, dishonest from the Washington Post. And the article from the Washington Post, which was an opinion piece, said that the Trump campaign guts GOP platform on Ukraine. Well, that became an urban legend that Adam Schiff still uses to this day, and others still use to this day, that the GOP platform was changed by the Trump campaign. We didn't change anything. We just kept some words from a proposed amendment out of the platform. So it wasn't changed in that way. So that was number 2. Number 3, I was the director of the National Security, and I supervised our National Security Advisory Committee of about 15 people, together with my boss, who was the chairman of our committee, and that was Senator Sessions. Well, 2 of those people ended up becoming very newsworthy household names, Carter Page and George Papadopoulos. And since I was one of their supervisors, I got roped into the Trump-Russia hysteria because of that as well. That was the third thing.
Wow, this is incredible. By the way, I just want to remind our audience, our guest is J.D. Gordon, former Pentagon spokesman, served under Secretaries Rumsfeld and Gates, career military officer. J.D. also worked on several election campaigns, that of Herman Cain, Mike Huckabee, and Donald Trump. J.D., you mentioned that you were questioned 6 times, that one of the questionings was very hostile. During those questionings, and if you can't answer these questions, J.D., for whatever reason, just say so, were you ever threatened with indictment or offered a plea deal for information that you may have?
No, I wasn't. I had 7 interrogations, that's total, between Congress, multiple committees, and the special counsel. But I wasn't ever a target of the investigation, wasn't ever threatened, although I can tell you it was very unpleasant, especially from one of the prosecutors under Mueller, who I would say was quite hostile.
Can you tell us about that day?
Yeah, it was pretty awful, and it was recent, actually, because they tried to turn the GOP platform, it was recent. They tried to turn the GOP platform into a crime scene, and basically tried to go back and look at my previous testimonies and see if there were any inconsistencies. And that was the last time I had talked to him, was about 1.5 years ago. Now, can you remember a detailed conversation, 7 hours of testimony you had 1.5 years ago? Right? Do people even remember what they had for lunch yesterday? Right. Let alone the detailed conversations 1.5 years ago?
I can't.
Right, exactly. And so that's why these are perjury traps. And I also have to tell you that just because I wasn't a target doesn't mean I couldn't have been turned into a target in 1 minute. Because, there are no tape recordings of these things. It's just an FBI agent taking notes. And so if it's their notes against your word. And you have to remember, the special counsel was literally the team of Strzok and Page, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, the 2 FBI lovers who kept sending these tweets about President Trump and how awful he is, and how they had an insurance plan, essentially, an insurance policy to make sure he could never be president. They were on the special counsel's team until it came to light what they were doing, and they got fired. So this was literally the team of Strzok and Page. It's incredible. It's surreal. It's a third world type of experience I've gone through. I've gone through a shakedown by our own FBI, by our own American FBI. Now, they didn't have anything on me. If they did, I would have been indicted too.
Wow. J.D. Gordon, after all of this, after the outcome of the Mueller investigation, and this just is incredible to me, 22 months, $25 million, 2,800 subpoenas, the report comes back with no collusion, no crimes against the president. J.D. Gordon, can you feel in any way vindicated?
No, not really. I mean, I knew there was no collusion. It's sort of like if a person is getting beaten down by a group of individuals and they stop beating him down. Are you going to be happy about that? Like, what about being victimized so thoroughly for the last 2 years with my picture on CNN and MSNBC regularly for nothing? They count this, there were 100 contacts between 16 Trump associates and the Trump campaign. Well, 2 of those contacts I just described, which were the handshake with the Russian ambassador at that RNC National Convention. 2 more were handshakes between Senator Sessions and the Russian ambassador, and Carter Page and the Russian ambassador. Handshakes at this event where we were supposed to be there, and that's 4 contacts right there. I mean, so it's ludicrous what we've been through.
Well, JD, you said it's not over. You said it's not over. This nightmare's not over. What's next? What do you expect to happen next?
Well, it's not over. As far as Congress goes, the House Judiciary Committee sent out letters a few weeks ago, to 81 people and entities, including me, for documents about all things Trump. They're trying to look under every rock or under every desk for anything to do with President Trump, his businesses, the campaign, the inauguration, any single thing they can get. And I expect that they're going to be holding hearings. A lot of them will be live hearings if they get their way. You have live hearings that are public hearings, broadcast on CNN and other places. They're going to try to turn this into a circus, and it's not going to end. As long as he's the president, there's going to be people that are going after him, both in Congress and also prosecutors in the Southern District of New York investigating the Trump Organization. So it's not going to end. This is third world type stuff, and people have so lost their minds over President Trump, they're just not going to stop until he's no longer the president. And who knows, they may even continue after that.
You know, Sharon Nightingale, I wanted to bring you back into this conversation. You've run for Congress. You've run for U.S. Senate. 22 months. 22 months this investigation has been going on. These people are elected by we, the people, to represent us, to do the right things for our country, to make life best for us. And all they can do, all the left can do, all the Democrats in Washington can do is to continue these investigations. Sharon Engel, I know you don't have an answer for this, but when are these people going to go back to work for the American people?
Well, I think JD has put it very well. This is third world country stuff. They don't want to work for the people. They're socialists. They have an agenda. They're globalists. They don't want to do anything but have a dictatorship in this country, and that's their ultimate goal, I believe. They are the ruling class. We are subservient to that. It is no longer we the people that rule this country, and I think that JD is just a perfect example of what a regime, a dictatorship like that will do to we the people. And I am so sorry, JD. You know, I thought I had gone through a real ringer when I ran against Terry Reid in the way that the press took away my good name. But at least I had some way to redeem some of this. It seems like yours is just going on, and there is no redemption in sight.
No redemption. You know, I just try to live every day to the fullest extent I possibly can. A lot of sleepless nights over years now, basically. It's been a very big strain for my family. You know, I moved in 2017. I don't tell my neighbors my name. Nobody knows my name as far as I know here. I don't know any of my neighbors' names. You know, for ride-sharing apps, I go to a local church or a train station where I can walk. Basically, the resistance has tried to make us feel like criminals, like we're Nazi war criminals. That's how they've tried to make us feel. And we've got death threats. I turned over the worst 4 people that had been engaged in cyber stalking and online harassment. I've turned the worst 4 over to the FBI Cyber Crimes Unit. Those individuals haven't bothered me recently, but you never know. You know, we have political violence, people like Congressman Steve Scalise being shot, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords years before being shot. So, you know, I'm afraid the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, and MSNBC are going to get me killed. I think they're going to get me killed and my colleagues killed. It's reprehensible what's happening. They need to pay the price. And I think that if we can get a class action suit against these folks, I hope it's going to be successful.
J.D. Gordon, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. J.D., I know you as nothing but a good and honorable man. Does it help if I apologize on behalf of the American people for everything you've been through? But JD, and we'll have to wrap this up in the next few minutes, all this reminds me of Raymond Donovan. Raymond Donovan, former member of the Reagan cabinet, was indicted, was tried, was found not guilty at trial I'll never forget what he said when he walked out of the courtroom. Which room do I go to get my reputation back? JD, have you found that office yet to get yours back? Yeah.
No, I haven't. But unfortunately, my family's been very supportive of me, and I've had a lot of good friends like you and Sharon being supportive, and I appreciate you guys having me on the show. And prayers help too. These are tough times for us and for the country, but people shouldn't forget about the folks who are collateral damage in this. It's one thing to feel bad for President Trump, and I do. No president, no person, no individual should have to go with what he's gone through. But there are a lot of people that should understand that it's not just President Trump. It's also a lot of people who helped President Trump get elected who are being totally savaged and destroyed.
We hear this cry all the time. Why don't we get good people who want to serve in office? Sharon, J.D. Gordon, you've both been through it. What you've both been put through is just shows why we can't get more good people to get involved for our country. J.D. Gordon, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. All I could say is take care, God bless, and God be with you.
Thank you so much, Rick. Thanks, Sharon. God bless you all. What's happening to us is more than just Marxist type taxes. It's been satanic, and so I hope we can get past this altogether.
I hope so too. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
MFM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AMFM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and I am Rick Trader. For rebroadcasts of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You can hear our radio show there, watch our TV show, and also read a lot of great articles. And Nasser, we have our next guest with us, and the honor of the introduction is yours.
Thank you, Rick. With absolute pleasure. We have Dr. Jerome Corsi, who's an investigative journalist, a senior staff writer for several conservative websites. He has multiple best-selling New York Times books. #1 bestseller, Unfit for Command. Also, another New York Times bestseller, The Obama Nation. Another New York Times bestseller, Killing the Deep State, The Fight to Save President Trump. And Dr. Corsi's latest book, which is Silent No More, How I Became a Political Prisoner of Mueller's Witch Hunt. It's now available as an ebook as well. Dr. Corsi, sir, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
It's great to be back with you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Well, great. Well, Dr. Corsi, obviously want to talk about the article that you wrote about I am vindicated with the release of the Mueller report. But give our listeners out there and also our viewers, what would be some of the, when you were writing this book, obviously this was probably a great venting process for you. I mean, I would have been so pissed off as to what happened that I would have wanted to, and I just applaud you, sir, for how you stood up to what I call, I think these were subverters of the Constitution, that they were, I think, right on the cusp of committing treason against, this country. But your book, what would you want people that read the book to really get out of it? What your personal thoughts as to what really happened to you and your family?
Well, as I wrote the book, it was written in the first person, so you can feel like you're right there with me. I mean, I was subpoenaed to come before the Mueller grand jury on August 28th, and I went in to cooperate. We offered voluntarily my various computers, my cell phones, my email accounts, and almost from the beginning, Mueller people treated me as a criminal. They were convinced that I had a connection to Julian Assange and had shared it with Roger Stone, and that was critical, evidently, to the collusion argument, a collusion, I think, fantasy. I had no connection to Julian Assange whatsoever. And in these 40 hours of badgering me, when they all finally just blew it up, the prosecutors decided they were going to charge me with one of these memory trap crimes. My first day's testimony, when I had not seen my emails, and I'd forgotten an email from Roger Stone in July 2016. He wanted somebody to go to see Assange, and I sent that email on to Ted Malloch. But my testimony was I really didn't want anybody to go to see Assange, and I didn't. I sent that email on, so I guess I was willing to have somebody go to see Assange. It would not have been a crime.
Absolutely.
At any rate, they allowed me to amend that testimony, but then when they blew it all up, the one charge they wanted me to plead guilty to was my first day's unamended testimony. And I saw that and I thought it was a complete fraud because I'd amended that testimony. And, but they were saying if I don't plead to this one charge, then they'll have additional charges. They'll indict me in a federal court where I'll be tried in Washington, D.C. by an unfavorable jury and convicted to 25 years in prison. Well, I'm 72 years old. It'll be like a lifetime sentence. And, I struggled with, that was my only alternative to stay out of prison. And finally, my wife and I decided that I couldn't do that. I could not swear before a judge and before God to a crime I hadn't committed. We told Mueller to take a hike. Wanted to put me in prison, go ahead and do it. And when this report comes out, it turns out they're not going to indict me at all. There's no indictment whatsoever. So they were threatening me and coercing me, trying to pressure me and make me afraid to plead guilty to a crime they knew they could not prove in court, which I think is totally dishonest.
You're right. Dr. Corsi, I think you did exactly the right thing. I think that your wife, God bless her, you write in your article that your wife woke up one morning while you were struggling over this plea deal, and she told you that she would rather visit you in prison for the rest of your life than have you be a different person than the man she married. And you said, I would not lie if that's what it would to take me to keep me out of prison. That was a critical moment in my decision to resist Mueller. And like you're saying, is you called their bluff.
Yes, I guess I really did. And, I mean, it was not so much of a tactic as it was just a moral decision. I thought it was completely corrupt and criminal that a prosecutor would give you a plea where you had to lie and admit to committing a crime you had not committed in order to stay out of prison. And I wouldn't do that. I mean, it was an awful decision because it would have cost us maybe a couple $1 million to defend the case, and if I lost it, which most likely I would have lost it, even though I would have been innocent, I'd be in prison. But I was not going to become a criminal by pleading to a crime I didn't commit because I didn't want to lie before a judge or before God. I knew the crime is knowingly and willfully giving the prosecutor information you know to be false on a material subject with the intent to deceive them. I didn't do that. I did not do that.
Now, Dr. Corsi, I just want to switch topics a little bit. Are you able to give us an idea as to the federal civil lawsuit that you filed in U.S. District Court 1 as to how it's proceeding? And in the past, when similar things have happened to United States citizens and they've gone after, federal investigators, what the outcomes are? And have you thought about talking with or giving Lynn Wood, who is the attorney for Nicholas Sandmann, and going after some of the people on CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS and some of those people that came out and made false accusations against you as well? with this attorney Lynn Wood, who is an absolute shark when it comes to these kind of things. But give us a sense as how you're going to fight the power, so to speak, in Washington D.C.
Well, I'm most interested in attacking right now the Mueller investigation, because what I'm most concerned about is that we're criminalizing politics, and the Justice Department has become a politically motivated operation. And Hillary Clinton gets a pass, but I'm a journalist. They want to put me in prison because I supported Donald Trump.
Yes.
And the point is that we filed a criminal complaint also, by the way, with the Attorney General before Barr came in, and that's still there. I'd like that to be pursued. And then we went into federal district court in Washington, filed a $350 million lawsuit against Mueller, alleging criminal prosecutorial misconduct, and I think abuse of power, in that I was probably under illegal electronic surveillance in the FISA court process. Maybe even data from the NSA had been shared with the prosecutors. I don't know, but I think there's abundant evidence, especially with them not indicting me at all, that the techniques they were using as prosecutors were abusive, and I want this stopped.
Dr. Corsi, it was something that you put at the end of your article, which I just thought it made the hairs on the back of my neck, sort of raise. And it was, you say that I did nothing wrong, and the prosecutors made it clear that they hated me for my books, going back to co-authoring Unfit for Command. And my question to you, sir, is, while they were questioning you, you're actually saying that these federal prosecutors, Mueller and his henchmen, they actually told you that they hated you for writing those books? I mean, what the hell does that have to do with prosecuting a case against you?
Well, Zelensky, who was one of the prosecutors, one of the younger prosecutors, one of the three who was probably a lead prosecutor on my case, said, well, my books were all, I took a fact here and a fact there, and I wove them with lies and got millions of people to believe these books. And I didn't know the difference between truth and false. That's what they said. And so it was clear to me that they hated my writings, and this was politically motivated. And I wanted to make it clear to the world that, these were Hillary Clinton's fingerprints were all over this investigation. This was payback. My attorney, David Gray, said, look in your rear view mirror. There's a lot of corpses of Democrats in your wake. Well, I think that's what the motivation of this prosecution was all about. And they wanted to silence me. If I had accepted that plea deal, I would today be a criminal. I'd be under a gag order. Wouldn't be able to do this interview. Wouldn't have been able to publish my book.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show is Dr. Jerome Corsi. His latest book is Silent No More, How I Became a Political Prisoner of Mueller's Witch Hunt. Dr. Corsi, we have to take a quick break. Could you hold on for just a few moments for us, please?
Yes, I'll join you in another segment. Thank you.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Dr. Jerome Corsi right after this break.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Hartman, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and our guest is Dr. Jerome Corsi. He's an investigative journalist, senior staff writer for several conservative websites. His latest book is Silent No More, How I Became a Political Prisoner of Mueller's Witch Hunt, which is available on ebook. Dr. Corsi, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you.
Dr. Corsi, take us back to the beginning. I can't comprehend going through what you and many others did. I cannot comprehend being questioned by the Justice Department and a special prosecutor. Can you take us back to the beginning, what that was like, how you found that you were a target?
Well, it was August 28th, just a few months ago, just a few days before my birthday. It's my 72nd birthday. Mm-hmm. And two FBI agents show up at the front door and unannounced, and they have a subpoena to come before Mueller's and grand jury. I mean, it's a very frightening moment.
Were you expecting that, or was that out of the blue?
Out of the blue.
Wow.
I was in my study with my wife. We were talking, and they just rang the doorbell out of the blue. And as I said, we offered them. We wanted to cooperate because I've done nothing wrong. So we offered them my cell phones and my computers, my backup systems, my email accounts, and
At that
it
meeting,
began,
you offered him all this at that first meeting.
Yes, we did it in advance. We brought these devices. We started out the first meeting by handing over all these devices to them across this. The FBI picks you up at your hotel. They bring their own cars, so they're not black SUVs. Nobody knows you're driving through the city.
Right.
They bring you to an unmarked FBI building in Southeast Washington and come in through the garage, and the FBI puts you in kind of a safe room, and they take your computers, your cell phones, all your electronics, and they put them in a safe. You're brought upstairs to this conference room inside the building with no windows and a big conference table. Across from you come in 3 prosecutors and 6 to 9 FBI loaded with all kinds of notebooks and data.
Wow.
And you're sitting across from, myself and my lawyer, the two of us facing this army in this closed-in room, and they then grill you for hours. We don't even leave the building for lunch. I mean, because you'll be filmed by the camera crews outside.
Wow.
And it's a grueling experience because from the beginning they play this memory trap game. They ask you a question and you answer, then they pull out some email or some phone conversation you had 2 or 3 years ago that you've completely forgotten about, and they say, this contradicts what you just said.
Wow.
Well, they constantly allowed me to amend my testimony, but they would all stand up in this room, just be angry, pull up their papers, stomp out, and call my attorney to leave the conference room, join them in another conference room, and I'm left alone in this closed-in conference room with no windows, wondering what's going on for maybe an hour, pacing the floor, counting the tiles, wondering if they're going to come in and arrest me.
Dr. Corsi, how many times were you questioned by the Justice Department or the special prosecutor?
It was 6 different sessions with the special prosecutor and with the FBI.
That's
over
interesting.
2 months.
Yesterday we had a conversation with J.D. Gordon, who is also a target. He was also questioned 6 times. He said 5 times it was pretty civil. 6th time it was very, very nasty. Did you get the feeling that they were playing good cop, bad cop with you, or was it all bad cop?
Well, there was a little bit of good cop, but they were nasty through the whole thing. They were saying I lied on the first day because I forgot some emails. Mm-hmm. They constantly were saying they would throw me in prison for the rest of my life. They're constantly saying I was lying. They couldn't accept, in July and August 2016, mm-hmm. It was my 25th wedding anniversary. We flew over to Italy, my wife and the family, and
very nice choice, by the way.
Yes.
Well, thank you. We love Italy. we all speak Italian. I've been to Italy many times. I speak Italian fluently, and so, look, I figured out that Assange had Podesta's emails. He was going to drop them in October. The WikiLeaks had now the last bit they had was going to be Podesta. Mm-hmm. It was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. They were going to drop those in October, and I told Roger Stone, I told other people, I sent emails to that effect. And the special prosecutors were convinced that I had to have gotten that information from Julian Assange, which, by the way, would not have been a crime.
Right.
I know I could have met Julian Assange. I could have published what he had. And I did my Harvard PhD dissertation on the Pentagon Papers.
Dr. Corsi, we only have a few minutes left, but there's 2 questions I'm dying to ask. I know you're a writer and author, and I would think that you depend upon your computers, your laptops, your cell phones. How long did it take you to get those back?
Well, they were very good about. They returned them within a day or 2.
Okay.
They got those right back, but they took them to Quantico, and they downloaded everything in them. So they had my whole life. They had everything I was communicating to. Anything about finances, they had everything.
Right.
So I think they had it all anyway. But they brought my computers back in a couple of days.
Doctor, how do you sleep at night through all this? I know my gosh, if I was the target of an investigation, if I was questioned 6 times, I would find it very difficult to have a normal life, to have normal thoughts, to enjoy normal things. I saw an interview where you said you had lost your life, that you're because of this, you couldn't work, you had no income. How do you recoup from this, Dr. Corsi?
Well, it's going to take some time. I mean, you wake up at 3 in the morning, wondering if they're going to be an FBI parked cars outside, and they're going to come in and break down the door, arrest you, ransack the house. I mean, are you going to be in prison the rest of your life? You're up and down. You can't do anything. I mean, it's incapacitating. I have no job now. I have no current income. I decided to write this book, and I'm sure they hated me writing the book. I decided to go do interviews and go public. They hated that. They don't want you saying anything to anybody. I filed a $350 million lawsuit against them. I refused to take their plea deal because they wanted me to plead guilty to a crime I didn't commit. And they wanted me to lie. They wanted me to lie. They gave me a whole script to lie.
Dr. Corsi, we are up on a hard break, but please tell our audience where they can get Silent No More, How I Became a Political Prisoner of Mueller's Witch Hunt.
Well, thank you. The book is available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and the hardcover is in bookstores. I narrated the audio book and the iTunes on Apple. You can also get an ebook version of it. So it's available in all these different formats, and it's doing very well. It was just published in hardcover format. And my website is CorsiNation.com, where we're attempting to raise some money. We have over $200,000 in legal expenses and no income. So it's been very, very difficult. Psychologically, the family's just been destroyed for the better part of a year, and we're now just feeling vindicated and getting a chance to recover.
Cannot imagine. Dr. Jerome Corsi, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Take care and God bless.
God bless you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Thank you. God bless.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving, and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and for rebroadcast of our shows, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You can hear our radio show there, watch our TV show, or read a lot of great articles and pick up a lot of great information. And with that, Nasser, our next guest is with us. The honor of the introduction is yours.
Thank you, Rick. We have Michael Caputo. He's a political strategist and a media consultant. He's a managing director of Caputo Public Relations, which provides strategic counsel to clients. He's had 30 years of global communications experience within the government, political, trade associations, and various Fortune 500 corporations. He became enamored of Ronald Reagan while serving in the military. He also worked in the Reagan administration with Oliver North, served as Director of Media Services on the campaign for President Bush, and he was an advisor to our current President, Donald Trump, during his 2016 campaign. Michael, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks for inviting me, guys.
Well, great. Well, listen, we want to talk to you, obviously, about what has happened to you in the last couple of years, to you and your family, with the Mueller campaign. And I think one of the things that you wrote here was that you're saying that it's been like a long 2-year proctology exam. My question to you is that with or without Vaseline, and were they using gloves?
Yeah, exactly. I swear I heard gloves snapping back there, but I couldn't tell you. I said that to be funny, but it's also quite true. I mean, it's the kind of thing where you never wanted to go, you never wanted to be a part of it. It's something that you had to do because your country called you to do it, to be a witness in a criminal investigation. And it's something that just goes on and on and on and doesn't seem to end. And when when it's all over, you just look behind you and hope for a good report, And I'm not sure what's going to come out of this report. It appears that the president is, the most important question of collusion was dismissed out of hand as something they found no evidence for. And, I think that provides really important vindication for the president, for his campaign, and for about 50 people just like me who were Trump associates, and we've all been toxic for 2 years now.
Well, give us a sense as to how were you sort of swept up in this entire process? Give us how you were approached, who approached you, what was it like, what has happened with you and your family. I saw the interview that you had with, I think it was Harris Faulkner on Fox, and I'll tell you what, you went into a diatribe that was for the ages. Even she was sort of giggling and I think taken aback by the way she just let you had free reign. So, give us a sense as to, what happened. How did this all sort of begin with you?
Well, it all started, I met President Trump in 1988 when I was working in Republican politics as a young man. And, in 1992, I was on the George H.W. Bush re-election campaign, and we lost to the Clintons. So I actually took a position in the Clinton administration sent me to Russia to meddle in their elections in 1994.
And we do this all the time, don't we? We meddle in other people's elections too. Obama monarchy meddled in the Israeli campaign.
Oh, we do it all over the world. And I was there. the Clinton administration sent me for a year. I stayed for 7, and because I opened one of the first PR shops there for the longest time. I was we're helping American companies enter the market there, and of course, after 7 years in Russia, I eventually came back. When I went to work for the president on his campaign, I became a target of this Russia hoax because of the circumstance that that I actually lived there and that I advised the Kremlin when I was there. And of course, that was under the Yeltsin years when America was the big coin purse for the Russian economy. But also at the same time, I have the honor of knowing Roger Stone and Paul Manafort for 35 years. I was Roger Stone's driver when I was a young man.
Oh, wow.
And so all of those, of course, I reported to Paul Manafort and Rick Gates on the campaign. So when they decided that it was time to politically commission this investigation, I think I was always headed for the jackpot because I lived in Russia. I knew the president for a long time. I was close to Roger, Paul, and Rick, and I worked on the campaign, so it was always going to come down to that. And I'll tell you, my wife, when I was first invited to work for the campaign in 2015, my wife begged me. She said, please don't do it. Whatever you do, don't work for Donald Trump. And I couldn't figure out why. She just told me she knew it was going to end badly, that it was going to cause real harm to our family. And I couldn't understand what she was meaning because, it's the American presidential election. What could possibly go wrong, right? I mean, these are the most important democratic exercises in the world. And I traveled all over the world teaching classes to Russians and Nicaraguans and Salvadorans and Koreans and all over the world, teaching about the sacrosanct American democracy. How could it end so badly for my family? But in the end, the one thing I learned a lot, but the one thing I truly learned is that I will never ignore my wife's advice ever again. And that should go for every husband out there listening. Listen to your wife. She's probably right.
Wives
You're being
around
recorded
the
on
world
this.
have now become a Michael Caputo fan.
Michael, you also wrote here, and I want to ask you is, you said that your testimony before the congressional committees was nothing in comparison to with working with the Mueller's investigators. So I have a two-part question here. One is, we were just interviewing Dr. Jerome Corsi before, and he was saying that, there was an adversarial aspect to his, they hated him in the books that he was writing because they were also, against Obama, and the Clinton and the Democrats. Did you sort of get that idea too? Were they nice to you, and whatever nice word is, or was it adversarial? And then you write, they were the most impressive array of investigative talent the American government has ever assembled in the 21st century. So I was wondering, what made you sort of put that into a remark?
Well, I'll start there. What the Mueller investigators have done to Roger Stone and Paul Manafort and the people that I care about, I despise what they've done. I hate the way they entrapped General Flynn and George Papadopoulos. I think really unfairly, even dishonestly. I think that the Mueller team and the United States of America failed people like Carter Page, for example, who has just lost everything. But at the same time, you can't argue that there was a better, more qualified, more experienced investigatory team out there. There wasn't. These guys are it. These are the hottest hands and the hottest guns in the business. And
even though they lean Democratic, even though they lean towards their Hillary Clinton supporters and Clinton supporter hats?
Absolutely. I think that made things more difficult for Trump and us and his associates. But, I mean, all the more reason for us to understand that as much as they hated all of us, as good as at their jobs as they all were, they couldn't find any evidence of collusion. So, this is not just a vindication. It's a vindication in bold, italics, and with an exclamation point, because these guys were so intense and so much, they hated us all so much that if there was one scintilla of evidence they would have put it out there, and there's nothing. And in the meantime, guys like me, J.D. Gordon, former retired Navy commander, Carter Page, and the list goes on and on and on, up to about 50 people. Our families we're ruined. My business is ruined. I mean, J.D. and Carter Page are having problems finding work. Everybody among the Trump associates that were on the list of witnesses were too toxic to work for the administration. So we've been kept out of working for the president that we all loved. And by the way, that don't think that that's a small thing. If there are 50 people on this list, they are all, by nature of when this investigation was, looking at things, they're old school Trump people, totally devoted to making America great again, totally devoted to the America First message that this president puts out there. And they would have been tireless workers for his administration. And the Mueller investigation, the Department of Justice, the House of Representatives, and the Senate took out an entire cadre of Trump loyalists with these bogus investigations. Just took them out. And we all know the complaints about how difficult it has been for Trump loyalists to get positions in this administration. The fact of the matter is, 50 of them were summarily assassinated, but even before the personnel office opened.
Well, Michael, let me ask you a question, because, Dr. Corsi was saying that, he's put a $350 million lawsuit against Mueller and the federal investigators. Isn't there something that you're going to be able to find a willing attorney out in somewhere in the United States that would be willing to file a class action lawsuit for you guys?
I hired a pipe swinger as an attorney. I think, my attorney is probably the toughest attorney of all of the attorneys involved in this thing. He was New York State Attorney General and former U.S. Attorney for the Western District of New York. His name is Dennis Vacco. And, he is just as strong as they get. And the Mueller team, as you mentioned, it's a very difficult interview. It's something that I never want to go through again. I think at times it got very, very antagonistic. But I was treated, I think I had a more professional experience because my attorney is such a tough guy. And because he's so deeply knowledgeable in all of these kinds of investigations. Now, he has said that in the wake of this investigation, that there might be some kind of class activity, class action that we can put together. And he's looking at what we might be able to do. But frankly, the government has a license to destroy whoever they want, anytime they want. And if you have any question as to whether the government will abuse its power, look at what CNN had on their cameras early in the morning before the break of day outside of Roger Stone's house with a couple of dozen FBI agents carrying automatic weapons and gunboats in the back on the canal behind his house. I mean, if they'll do that to a 67-year-old man who has no record of violence and was only accused of process crimes that came about because of this politically commissioned investigation, if they'll do that to Roger Stone, they'll do that to every single person who's listening right now.
That's so true. I always start off my radio show and I say it's just another great day to be alive and well and free in the United States of America. And you know what? It is, but for people like yourself, Michael, and Corsi, and the other people that are swept up in, there are these wrongs that are being committed by our government that was there to basically it's to protect the citizens. And I can't, like I said, I'm not in your shoes. Rick's not in your shoes, and for what you folks have gone through, I really hope that you get your day in court. Like you said, you've got this attorney, that you say is phenomenal. I really hope that you just sock it to the government. You sock it to these. I just say that these are very, very close. At Mueller and his team, I think they were very, very close, on suborners of treason. I mean, what these people were doing, knowing full well, and I truly believe this in my heart, I truly, truly believe that they knew, that Robert Mueller and his team knew that there was absolutely no collusion, no obstruction of justice, but they were down there to duly bring down the President of the United States and people around him like yourselves that have given their entire life to this great country. I wish you Godspeed. I hope that you get every penny of a lawsuit brought against these people, and just say that someone's got to stop these people.
It's interesting, but people don't understand what it's like to be in this jackpot. We've all lived it for 2 years. We all feel like we're shell-shocked by it all because of how we've been pummeled by the cable television analysts about it. But imagine this. For about 4 months, maybe 5 months, Roger Stone was told by the media every Thursday that tomorrow you're going to be arrested by Robert Mueller. I mean, that's the reporting we have. You're going to be arrested tomorrow. Every Friday morning was Roger Stone Day for 4 or 5 months. How does one deal with that? Going to bed on Thursday night, kissing your wife goodnight, and what do you do? Initially, Roger had a suit laid out by his bed that he could jump into if the banging on the door started. He would shave at night before he went to bed, so he was clean shaven for the next day, lay out his clothes and try to make sure he was well dressed when he was pulled in. That went on for 5 months, shaving every Thursday night late at night, laying out your clothes. Every Friday morning, waking up and just pinching yourself to find out whether or not you're really awake. And then, of course, that Friday morning came. And if you check Roger Stone's pictures that morning, he was clean-shaven. He didn't have a chance to shave when he woke up, I guarantee you. That's 5 months of complete and total mind-wrapping harassment. And I haven't been able to talk to Roger. He's my best friend. They haven't let me talk to him since the day he was arrested. I pray for him every single day.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is Michael Caputo. Michael Caputo is one of the gentlemen that has had his life changed forever because of the Mueller investigation. Michael, we got to take a quick break. Could you hold on for just a few moments for us, please?
Of course. Got to pay the bills.
Got to pay the bills. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our guest, Michael Caputo.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to the Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get the Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our guest this segment is Michael Caputo. Michael Caputo is one of the gentlemen that was caught up in the Mueller investigation. He's the managing director of Caputo Public Relations and provides strategic counsel to clients, campaigns, trade association, and Fortune 500 corporations. Michael, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time with us today.
My pleasure.
Michael, in your introduction, I mentioned that your experience with government, political campaigns, trade associations, Fortune 500 companies, I imagine it took you quite a while to put together a company like that. What's it going to take for you to rebuild after these 2 years of this Mueller investigation?
I don't know. I frankly am completely at a loss. I don't know. I have no idea. You know, I've lost I recruited great people over the years, people that I taught how to do, public relations, how to write speeches, how to work with candidates, how to work with corporations. They were, there's a certain way you do things as a consultant, and they were, central to my team, and now they're gone. My offices that we had built out, all gone. 70% of our clients are all gone. Because in the end, you can't blame them. People hire public relations agencies to get good news about their companies, right? And I had we didn't do politics so much. We did restaurant chains, national touring ballets, law firms, typical commercial stuff. And I had a hamburger chain where the leftists figured out that I was their PR person. My firm was doing their PR, and they tried to start a boycott of the hamburger chain. And they would go into the restaurants and scream at the top of their lungs about how this hamburger chain supported Russian spies. And, of course, my client had to let me go, and I was trying to lighten the mood a little bit, but I said, why do you care what these people think? They don't even eat meat. Right, but they cut it off anyway. And the question you have to ask yourself is, can I even work in my chosen field? Again, I'm 57 years old. I think, having to start all over, doing something different would be a big challenge. I could do it, but if my clients don't come back and I'm unable to rekindle my company the way it once was, I'm not going to be able to support my family. So I have to, this is something an American family endures at times. Let's say a father is injured and can't do his job anymore, or the corporation where they worked for 30 years, laid them off and they had to go find a different kind of work. I know families go through this all the time, and we're built like that. My family comes from working class, a little town outside of Buffalo, New York, and a place in Ohio called Lima, Ohio, where it's all, factory workers and good people with really good souls. I know we'll get through it. I just don't know how. And the problem I have is this: I don't know that they're going to let me go. We've got House committees that are looking at 81 of us now. I'm on that list, and here we go all over again.
Well, Michael, the story you're telling, unfortunately, is not unique. For instance, over the past 2 days, we've spoken with you, with Jerome Corsi, and with J.D. Gordon. And all of you, or the three of you, have been telling the same story. How your lives are ruined, how your business is gone, how your income has vanished. In many cases, how friends have disappeared. And these are three of you out of 50? Oh my gosh. I mean, this story has been repeated over and over and over again.
Can I just, I don't mean to interrupt,
Sure.
but I got to
No,
tell you,
please do.
I know people who have lost their jobs and lost their companies. You've named three of them. Carter Page, he was a very successful person, and his career was decimated for nothing. But we also, all of us know each other in this group of 50. We're all Trump people, right? We've all worked together in some way, shape, or form. We haven't been able to even speak to our friends for 2 years that have put together this presidential team, right? At the same time,
as you said, your best friend is Roger Stone. You've not been able to talk with him since he was arrested.
I also know, I mean, although people, nobody wants to talk about it, people are trying to keep their lives private as they should. I know a wife and a husband, a mother and a father, who were both laid off from their jobs because of this investigation.
Wow.
Both of them. The entire family just had their income taken away. So the list goes on and on and on, and all of us have to find a way to recover.
Yeah. Well, God bless you. I know you will. I mean, strong survive, and I know. For instance, I'm very good friends with J.D. Gordon. I know J.D. will make a bounce back. I think the rest of you will. But one last question, if I can. You talk about these 50 people who are ardent supporters for President Trump. How do you think this bodes for 2020 and his reelection?
Well, the president will have with him people that didn't endure the 2016 election, but he'll have put together a core cadre of people that'll be good to him and work hard for him. And the way that the campaign is shaping up, there's some really strong talent over there. And they've actually, as you know, the Trump campaign shook loose a lot of undiscovered talent out in the different important states, and they'll be joining the campaign. I'm not concerned, but those 50 people, I don't think many of us are going to filter our way back to the campaign or back to the administration. Maybe a lot of us are welcome. I don't know. It's not even clear. But I think most of us are just exhausted, and I can't think of one person I know among the 50 who would want to go through this again.
Michael Caputo, we got to run. We're coming up against a hard break. I want to thank you for sitting in today as a guest here on Conservatives Command Us. Michael, I know that you have had a GoFundMe campaign going to not only for yourself, but you've helped a lot of the people that have been affected by this Mueller investigation. Is your GoFundMe campaign still up and operating?
Yes, it is. It's we have a Caputo Family Legal Fund on GoFundMe, and it's people have been really helpful. We've been blessed. We've been able to help other people who were down.
Right.
We had a lot of working class folks called into this investigation. They said they interviewed over up to 500, but we had young people in the campaign that had to go in and do a lot of interrogation. A lot of people have run up some big legal debts. We were able to help some people pay theirs.
I know you were able to help my friend J.D. Gordon, and I thank you for that. I really do.
I'm honored to help J.D. He's a great man, a good, and a veteran. You can't do better. Let me tell you something. If we lost J.D.'s service, can you imagine what he would have done for this administration? He would have been, representative to NATO. He would have had an incredible impact on national policy, and we lost that because of a bogus investigation.
And I know J.D. to be a really good and honorable man, decent man. And Michael, we hear all the time, why can't we get good people to serve in government? Well, when you find them, you do this to them. Hey, Michael, we got to go, but one more time, what's that GoFundMe?
A Caputo Family Legal Fund. I appreciate any help, and I really appreciate the time today.
You're right. Well, we appreciate your time. Michael Caputo, thank you so much. Take care, and God bless.
Take care, Michael.
And this
Thank
is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Nasser Sheikh and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We will be back with more right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to the Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get the Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The secret war is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1 and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth with Rick Manning, your co-host today. This is the place the newsmakers go to be heard, and we have a great newsmaker. I want to, before I introduce him, I just want to remind you, if you want to hear a rebroadcast or watch a rebroadcast of our show today, you can always do that by just going to our website, CCRSnetwork.com and CCRshow.com. And there you can, like I said, watch us if you're a television viewer, or if you want to listen to us, then you can do that as well. So I'm very pleased to introduce our next guest. Jeff Dickens is he's the Deputy Research Director for the Media Research Center. I'm sure you're familiar with the Media Research Center. If there's anybody who over the years has been a media watchdog, they used to, in a day when it was more subtle, document bias. And that was back when you had to actually kind of compare statistics and things like that. I'm talking about, like, say, when Ronald Reagan was president, and they were active in doing that and demonstrating the bias of the media. Today, I don't know that too many people need to be shown statistics to prove the bias. Instead, they basically watch the media, still as that watchdog, but I think what they do is they just show you the goods, so to speak, and it's just very effective and very helpful to understand what we're dealing with. So with that, Jeff, welcome to the Conservative Commandos.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know what we could possibly talk about this week in which the media seems to be in a meltdown. But I'll just throw a dart, at the wall, and it's the Mueller report. I'm sure you've got things you can observations you can make. And all I can really say is, to me, what puzzled me all the way along is I think most of us knew the result was going to be that there had been no collusion and that Trump had not worked with Russians to somehow win this election. And yet, the other side acted as if they were so sure this was going to happen. And now we see them in this meltdown because they were kind of prepared for, what they thought was nirvana, and it didn't happen. And I don't quite understand why you kind of talk yourself into something that's not going to be.
Right. Well, you're right. They have put so much stock in it. They put so much time in this. And specifically, we looked at the evening news, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Still the most watched news programs, even more so than your cable networks like MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News. We looked at those programs since the inauguration day. And remember, this whole Russia collusion thing started during the campaign. Anyway, when we looked from the inauguration day to March 21st, the night right before Mueller dropped his report, and we found the evening news spent over 2,800 minutes, and which works out to 3 minutes per evening for 791 consecutive days. That's an enormous amount of time devoted to this program, to Russian collusion, and this is in detriment to other issues like immigration and North Korea and ISIS that were hot over that same period of time. So yes, they had established a narrative. They were sure this was going to bring Trump down. They believed that everything about it, and now it's fizzled out. They don't know what to do. They're practically panicking. We at Newsbusters, we documented some of this. This meltdown. You had Joe Scarborough like hyperventilating, saying, "Well, there's got to be more of this onion to peel." You had people on MSNBC, AM Joy Reid, saying Mueller must be part of a conspiracy. There must be more to this. It's amazing. They can't let it go, and they're holding on to. Well, there's still other Democratic investigations going on, or they're saying, well, we haven't seen the full report yet. Maybe there's something in there. I saw just on Twitter a conspiracy theory that the Russians got the Mueller. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. So last week, Mueller was going to save the Republic from the Trump catastrophe, and now Mueller is part of the cabal with the Russians.
Right.
That was a very fast transaction. I mean, that could give you whiplash.
No kidding. But yeah, the other thing they were doing is they were holding on to this phrase like, well, this report does not exonerate Trump. So they kept saying, like, does not exonerate. Wow. One of my colleagues, Bill D'Agostino, looked at it like this 120 times on CNN within a 24-hour time. They went nuts saying, did not exonerate. So they're grasping at straws. They're clinging to whatever they can hold on to. But it's just, this report just put an end to it.
One of the things I think is interesting, I'm an attorney by trade. I used to, practice regularly in the court system. I'm licensed before or admitted to the bar of the United States Supreme Court, for example. And prosecutors do not exonerate people. They simply determine if there is evidence to support the charge. And what this prosecutor did was announced that there was no evidence to support the charge, and yet they act as if, well, he didn't prove he didn't do it,
right?
And it's like, well, how do you prove a negative? That's not how it works. When we go to court, if someone was accusing me of robbing a bank, I don't have to prove I didn't do it. The prosecutor must prove I did do it, and in that case, the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt. Here, what you have is Mueller doesn't say, I can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. He doesn't say, he basically says, I don't have any evidence. We looked and looked and looked, and we don't have any evidence. And then people say, oh, well, that's not exonerating him. I'm like, I don't know. This is a pretty, if the doctor's been, stuck the scope up you and has looked inside of you for 2 years and says, I see no evidence of cancer. My guess is he says you don't have cancer. Never heard of a 2-year exam, but you know what I mean. So this is a very weird kind of debate we're having. And it's very interesting, compare it to the thing with Jussie Smollett, that because they dropped the charges, we're now told we should believe that he is totally innocent and never did anything wrong. When in fact we know the circumstances of dropping the charges had nothing to do with the evidence that was available, but just a prosecutor decided because of a friendship with the Obamas that they would, drop the charges and let him just pay what amounts to a $10,000 fine. It's just interesting, the different standard.
Right. No,
It's kind of like, whoa, this is interesting. Jesse Smollett is been exonerated. He's, A-OK. And then, Donald Trump, well, we just, there's more there. We got to peel the onions. Well, what do you think drives the media to kind of put themselves in this position? Because if I'm asked to talk about an issue, I understand that they're videotaping it, and if it doesn't wear well in time, I'll be embarrassed. If someone asks me to predict who's going to win the World Series in 2050, I'm just taking a guess, and I'll freely admit that so I don't sound like an idiot when I'm wrong. Why couldn't they be that smart?
Well, you have to remember, like, the liberal media, they are essentially Democrats, or they are progressive. This is who they are in a nutshell. It used to be you had maybe more objective reporters, but nowadays you look. I mean, many of the journalists, George Stephanopoulos is probably the most famous one. Used to work for Bill Clinton. So a lot of them just people that either worked at in the Democratic corridors of power, if you will, and now they're at the news networks. So they almost view it as their mission to advance the Democratic agenda, or even if they're not Democrats, they have that sort of just generic bias of the progressive worldview, and sort of the progressive worldview, Trump's capable of anything. So whether it's certain allegations that he did over in Moscow, or he did, had an agreement with Putin to rig the election, they're willing to believe anything and put it out there. So, and in terms of making predictions that are on tape, they don't care because they know there's going to be another hot issue that they're going to jump on and use to bash Trump with it. So they'll just keep on moving on. They're not having shame.
Yeah, I guess maybe if you care about ideas, you care about being right. Since they don't really care, that's not a big deal to them. But we're up against the clock, so we're going to take a quick break, Jeff. But I'm glad you can stick around because there's more to talk about, and this is an immensely interesting topic, and I think your insights will be very valuable. We're talking with Jeff Dickens. He's the Deputy Research Director for the Media Research Center. And as I said, you're listening to Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth with Rick Manning. And we, of course, are broadcast on the Conservative Commandos radio network, which is broadcast all across this great nation. And now, also, you can watch us on the AUN TV network. And so, your choice. If you don't want to look at this too much, just want to hear what we talk about, then you can tune into the radio. And of course, if you're not near a broadcast tower, no worries, because we are carried around the entire world, with the possible exception of Iran, North Korea, China, places like that want to make sure you don't get a chance to hear the truth. But everywhere else, we are on Al Gore's amazing internet. TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, America Political Radio, AM, FM 24/7, you name it, we truly are everywhere. Don't go away. We will be right back.
AM FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Welcome back to Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth with Rick Manning. We are your Conservative Commando host today, and this is the place the newsmakers go to be heard. We have been talking with Jeff Dickens, the Deputy Research Director for the Media Research Center, a great organization, and Jeff does great work there. And we've been talking about everything from the Mueller report, and we may talk about that some more, but there's so much more to talk about when it comes to the media and how they slant the news. And you guys were documenting the fake news long before it was called fake news. I mean, you guys really have been at the forefront of this issue, so I really appreciate that. I do want to remind everyone, if they want to hear a rebroadcast of our show, just check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, ccrshow.com, and there you can get both the radio version and the video version, television version, if you dare, so to speak. Jeff, we were talking about the Mueller thing, and one of the things that I find you have to be pretty biased, it seems to me, to not realize that early on this was an investigation that was going nowhere, and that basically it was very clear early on that all they're going to get is a couple process crimes and a few things like that, or things that come from literally 15 to 20 years ago in the case of Paul Manafort, but nothing to do with the campaign or truly the Russians. And yet they were on this even as of Friday afternoon at noon, just hours before it dropped. I guess my question is, you've been studying the media for a while. What makes it so that it's a little bit like you're watching the Super Bowl, it's late in the fourth quarter, a team's up by 45 points, but you're still telling everyone the team that's down by 45 is going to mount a furious comeback and win the game themselves in a blowout. And everyone kind of looks and snickers. And I guess my question is, how either dumb or biased you have to be where that's the game you watch and that's the game you play with the news?
Well, yeah, they are stuck in one gear, and that is to promote them and promote the narrative and attack Trump. And so, yeah, it doesn't. I mean, reality almost doesn't matter. They have their own reality that they believe and hold on to. And you see this in various issues. From gun control to other to of course the Russian investigation. Yeah, that's it. They're just committed to it.
Well, they're it's interesting because I'm pretty committed to truth, and I'm not willing to lie to advance my political beliefs. Partly because I'm confident I'm right, and lying would be an admission I'm not. That doesn't seem to matter to them for some reason. Because I think that some of them are just out and out liars. I don't think they're mistaken. I think they know what they're saying is false, and they don't care. Is that a fair statement, or do you think I'm being overly harsh?
I think if I were to just sort of look at journalists, I think you have several, or even just sort of advocates and pundits they bring on. I mean, your pundits, sort of your hired mercenaries, sure, they're willing to just tell a lie, not truth. Journalists that can kind of sort of play with the facts a little here and there and sort of convince themselves they're not outright lying, or so it's you could tell the people that are just sort of generically Democrats, and the ones that are just like drive the agenda. Unfortunately, more and more, especially on the cable news networks like CNN and MSNBC, you're seeing pretty much just progressive Democratic partisans that are posing as anchors or hosts.
Yeah, interesting. Well, Jeff, let's shift gears just a little bit here. We kind of mentioned, look at the question of kind of dishonesty in the media, and I think that the situation with beta male or Robert Francis O'Rourke. I always thought that cultural appropriation was considered a bad thing, but I guess not if you are a liberal Democrat running for president. But as I understand it, media became aware, doing some background information on him, of several pretty serious crimes that he committed, and they decided that they agreed to hide it until after the election. I'm like, wow, that doesn't sound like bias. It sounds like media corruption to me.
Right. You're referring to this one instance. I can't remember the news outlet, but they said, we are going to hold this bit of fast until after the election.
I think it might have been Reuters.
Yeah, and of course there's also the case of Beto's drunk driving arrest, which kind of got mentioned, but it was like 10 seconds. I mean, it was just barely. They just brushed over very quickly, and that was right. There was another one that they held back, but they fell in love with Beto. They're still in love with him, and this is a candidate that lost, and like he's going to springboard from a loss to winning the presidency. They think he's the next Kennedy, next Obama. They love this youthful spirit about him, but he's very liberal, which I love. And then of course another candidate they're promoting this week or trying to push into the race that I saw just this week is Stacey Abrams, another candidate who lost. But
yeah.
Go figure.
She still hasn't conceded she lost, though. Very weird.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how it is you run in the state of Georgia, and you say that you want to have illegal aliens vote, and then you are dumbfounded when you don't win. That strikes, your platform is about taking people's guns and having illegal aliens vote, and then on election day when you don't win, you act like it was because someone robbed you.
Right.
It's like, no, I think it's because you were a horrible candidate, given your state.
Yeah, it's a red state. It's bright red state. So, but yeah, there's it's amazing to see the networks and the cable news hosts just Biden. They're still waiting for Biden to get in. They love Joe Biden. It doesn't matter. He keeps constantly, putting his foot in his mouth and making gaffes, and he's doing an apology tour this week, talking about he regrets his questioning of Anita Hill back in the day. I think it was 91, 92, the Clarence Thomas hearings. So he has to make good with the liberal base to show he's woke. And so it's just it's amazing how large the candidate field is getting, but all of them are pretty much getting great coverage from the liberal press, of course.
Right. It is interesting to watch. It is funny to see all of these people that if they were a Republican running, they would get very different coverage. We would know all about Robert O'Rourke's, criminal past. I don't even remember the story about it, but it seems like that he had a kind of a hit and run situation. He lied about it and made up stories about it, and the press kind of let him lie about it as opposed to kind of pointing it out. If I did that, I guarantee you, they'd be outing me and saying, "Oh no, Mr. Landreth, that's not what happened." But
yes, it's amazing what the liberal press will forgive or move on from. I'm here in Virginia. Our governor, Ralph Northam, got in trouble with a blackface scandal. He's still the governor.
Yeah, and no one's demanding that he step down.
Nor should they, but it's just ridiculous that he's still in office.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing stuff. Well, we're about out of time, Jeff. So what I want to make sure that you have a chance to do is tell our listeners how they can follow all the good work of the Media Research Center and the stuff that you do, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, your web page. Give us everything that we can use to track you.
Sure. Well, our main website is newsbusters.org. That's .org. Newsbusters, like Ghostbusters, but with the news. And then my Twitter handle is @GC Dickens. Dickens like the author Charles Dickens, @GC Dickens.
Very good. Well, that's great. We are really glad you were here today. This has been very enlightening. It's always interesting to see kind of through the lens of the press and how they operate. I'm a believer in the First Amendment. I think we need a robust press. I'm disappointed we don't, and so I appreciate the work that you do, holding their feet to the fire. But as I said, we are up against the break, and I do need to remind our listeners that you are listening to Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth with Rick Manning, and we are coming to you on the Conservative Commandos radio network, which is broadcast all across this great nation, and the AUN TV network as well. And of course, if you're not near a broadcast tower, then you can always either watch us or listen to us thanks to Al Gore's amazing internet.